Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today. Give me money. Finn discovers that Grace is being blackmailed by her ex-husband. Grace's outburst, who was responsible for her $1 million scam. After transferring Bill Spencer's $1 million payment to an external account, Dr. Grace Buckingham has a catastrophic breakdown. Only Grace's breakdown after completing the transfer was depicted in the soap opera, not the recipient of the substantial quantity of money. Fans of BNB think that Grace, or perhaps one of her daughters, is having a lot of problems. Her extortion plan is out of character for her because she usually does not violate the law. Nobody really understands the specifics, at least not yet, but it's clear that something is wrong with her. The drama between Bridget Forrester and Grace Buckingham. Grace is cornered by Dr. Bridget Forrester on Liam Spencer. She asks why Liam was released from the hospital so quickly following his life-saving gunshot surgery. Luna Nozawa fired the trigger on Liam, almost killing him. He wished to keep Steffi Forrester safe from the insane murderer. Liam thought he was dying from an incurable brain tumor in addition to the gunshot wound. Liam was given a few weeks to live when Grace determined that his brain tumor was fatal. According to previews for The Bold and the Beautiful, after he survived Luna's attack, Grace devised a plan to remove his tumor surgically. There was a catch, though, when she told Bill it would cost $1 million. It had to be a secret and couldn't happen at the hospital. Bill seized the opportunity to save his son's life. He sent the money to the dubious doctor right away. However, Bridget and Dr. John Finnegan are now pursuing her because they think Grace's actions are sinister. Fans of BNB think that Dr. Reese Buckingham is responsible for the scam. Viewers of The Bold and the Beautiful think that Dr. Reese Buckingham is responsible for the fraud. Lawbreaking is nothing new to Reese. He abducted Hope Logan and Liam's daughter a number of years ago. He informed them that their baby girl had died after delivering her in a dubious Catalina clinic. Then he informed Taylor Hayes that Steffi may adopt the infant he had found. He set up the unauthorized adoption. In honor of her twin sister, Steffi gave the infant the name Phoebe. Before it was discovered that Phoebe was actually Beth Spencer, she cared for this adorable infant for a few months. Liam and Spencer eventually found out and were granted custody of their daughter. Despite her heartache, Steffi voluntarily gave her back. To escape the consequences, Reese left Los Angeles. The audience found out later that he was incarcerated. He might have earned his release, though, and is now returning to his illegal activities. Bill Spencer's $1 million payment, intended to fund a clandestine, life-saving surgery for his son Liam, not to a secure medical trust or discreet offshore account, but directly into the gaping maw of an unknown, almost certainly fraudulent, outside entity. This wasn't merely a mistake, it was the detonation point of an epic meltdown, a visceral eruption of pure, unadulterated terror that transcended typical soap opera hysterics. Grace, usually the epitome of cool-headed professionalism, even under Forrester Creations level drama, crumpled, her face a mask of ashen disbelief, eyes wide with the dawning comprehension of an abyss she couldn't fathom. The camera lingered not on the shadowy recipient of this vast fortune but solely on Grace's disintegration, the trembling hands, the choked sobs that seemed ripped from her soul, the frantic, useless scrabbling at the keyboard as if she could somehow claw the digital transaction back from the ether. This focused portrayal wasn't just about the money, it screamed that Grace Buckingham, a woman whose career was built on trust and ethical boundaries, was trapped in a nightmare far exceeding financial loss, a nightmare where her very freedom and identity were now hanging by a thread, and the chilling consensus among BNB fans crystallized instantly: Grace, or potentially one of her beloved daughters, was in profound, potentially life-threatening, trouble. Her frantic, illegal act of extorting Bill Spencer for $1 million under the pretense of a secret, off-the-book surgery for Liam's fabricated terminal brain tumor was so wildly out of character for the principal doctor that it could only be explained by external, overwhelming duress. The meltdown wasn't just about being caught, it was the shattering realization that the trap had sprung, the leverage held over her had been ruthlessly exploited, and she was now utterly exposed, adrift in a sea of criminality with no lifeboat in sight, the terrifying something that had been subtly plaguing her bursting violently into the open, its true nature still shrouded in mystery but its catastrophic consequences brutally clear. This meltdown didn't occur in a vacuum, it was the volcanic eruption following months of mounting seismic pressure applied with increasing intensity by Dr. Bridget Forrester. Bridget, armed with her own medical expertise and a laser focus on Liam Spencer's bafflingly rapid discharge after surviving Luna Nozawa's accidental gunshot, an act of heroism to protect Steffi, had transformed from concerned colleague to relentless investigator. Her confrontation of Grace was a masterclass in controlled accusation, cutting through Grace's usual veneer of authority. Bridget couldn't reconcile the timeline, Liam, recovering from a near-fatal gunshot wound and simultaneously grappling with the psychological torture of Grace's terminal brain tumor diagnosis, a death sentence giving him mere weeks, was suddenly declared fit enough to leave the hospital almost immediately after the shooting. This defied medical logic and screamed cover-up. Bridget's probing wasn't just professional curiosity, it was deeply personal, driven by care for Liam and a growing conviction that Grace was orchestrating something sinister. This scrutiny forced Grace deeper into her web of lies, culminating in the desperate, high-stakes gamble, the proposal of a fictional, groundbreaking surgery to remove the non-existent tumor. The catch, the exorbitant, upfront $1 million fee, the demand for absolute secrecy, and the insistence it couldn't happen within the legitimate hospital system, were glaring red flags Grace naively hoped Bill Spencer's paternal desperation would blind him to. And blind him it did. Bill, facing the unimaginable loss of his son, seized the chance without question, transferring the colossal sum with terrifying speed into Grace's designated account, an account she believed was controlled by her shadowy puppet master but was, in devastating reality, a direct pipeline to an anonymous fraudster. Now, with the money vanished and Grace's facade obliterated by her very public collapse, Bridget and her husband, the equally astute Dr. John Finnegan, are no longer merely suspicious, they are forensic hunters, dissecting Grace's every move, convinced her erratic behavior masks a profound, dangerous deceit. Their medical ethics profoundly offended and their determination to uncover the truth now amplified by witnessing the sheer scale of the financial and emotional wreckage. The central, chilling question hanging over Grace's meltdown like a shroud is, who holds the knife to her throat? Who possesses the leverage to shatter a respected doctor's moral compass and force her into orchestrating a $1 million medical fraud? The most compelling, narratively resonant answer emerging from the depths of BNB's history points directly towards the dark star of the Buckingham family, Dr. Reese Buckingham. Reese isn't just capable of such a scheme, it's practically his modus operandi, a horrifying echo of past atrocities. His history is a tapestry woven with threads of criminality, manipulation, and a profound disregard for human life and familial bonds, most infamously demonstrated in the unspeakable kidnapping of Beth Spencer. Recall the depths of his depravity, orchestrating the kidnapping of Hope Logan and Liam Spencer's newborn daughter, delivering the child in a clandestine Catalina clinic, cruelly informing the devastated parents their baby had died, and then, with breathtaking cynicism, presenting the same infant as a foundling to Taylor Hayes for Steffi Forrester's illegal adoption. Steffi, naming the baby Phoebe in a poignant tribute to her late twin, poured months of love and care into the child, only to have her world shattered when the truth emerged. Phoebe was Beth, stolen from her rightful parents. The agony inflicted on Liam, Hope, Steffi, and especially the innocent baby was immeasurable, all engineered by Reese for motives that remained shrouded in a disturbing mix of financial gain, twisted loyalty, and perhaps sheer malevolence. His eventual flight from Los Angeles to avoid justice and subsequent imprisonment only solidified his status as a true villain of the canvas. The critical point is this: Reese possesses the specific, proven expertise in leveraging medical knowledge for elaborate, secretive, high-stakes criminal schemes that exploit family trauma and involve off-the-books medical settings, the exact blueprint of Grace's $1 million scam. The demand for secrecy, the exorbitant cash payment, the avoidance of legitimate medical channels, it all reeks of Reese's past operations. The fan theory gains immense traction because it provides the necessary, powerful catalyst for Grace's uncharacteristic actions. Imagine Reese, possibly recently released or operating from behind bars through intermediaries, discovering a vulnerability, perhaps a daughter's life threatened, a career-ending secret from Grace's past, or financial ruin engineered by him. He would exploit it without a shred of remorse, using his intimate knowledge of Grace's profession and her fierce maternal instincts to force her into becoming his puppet. He understands the medical world, he understands how to manipulate desperate people, like Bill, and he understands how to disappear money. Grace's meltdown, therefore, isn't just about losing the money or facing prison, it's the horrifying realization that Reese's trap has closed, the leverage he holds remains potent, and her attempt to appease the monster has catastrophically failed, potentially escalating the danger to herself or her family exponentially. The return of Reese Buckingham, the mastermind behind one of B&B's most heinous crimes, as the architect of Grace's downfall and the beneficiary of Bill's million-dollar desperation, is not merely plausible, it's a narrative inferno waiting to engulf Los Angeles, promising a reckoning long overdue and explaining the profound terror etched on Grace's face as her world imploded. Her meltdown is the scream of a woman realizing she's danced with the devil, and the price is far steeper than she ever imagined. Bridget and Finn are eager for answers. Finn and Bridget are baffled by what happened to Liam and are trying to piece it together. What had Grace been up to? When Bridget Forrester and John Finn Finnegan found out that Grace Buckingham had discharged Liam Spencer from the hospital following a recent gunshot wound, they became suspicious. They were even more concerned when they found out that the tumor had been successfully removed during brain surgery. Finn couldn't comprehend why Grace didn't inform him of the situation or why she believed Liam could recuperate at Bill Spencer's residence. Finn knew it was too good to be true when he saw the clear scans. Finn and Bridget talk about this strange development when they first meet at the hospital and resolve to find out what's going on. Liam's case doesn't make sense, but at least it appears like he will survive. Wishes for Sheila. With Steffi Forrester Finnegan by his side, Liam is still recuperating at Bill's house. Perhaps Liam isn't a true medical miracle, but she still finds it amazing. Sheila Carter shows in to visit Liam and express gratitude for his bravery, so they don't have much time to talk about it. Although Luna Nozawa is dead as a result of Liam's shooting, she can understand his motivation. Sheila is surprised to find that even Steffi treats her well. Lee Finnegan treated her well at first, and now her daughter-in-law? Sheila never imagined that day would come. This gives Sheila optimism that after all this time, Steffi will let Finn and Hayes into her life. Is Steffi prepared to give in at last? Steffi may never forget that Sheila shot her in cold blood 3 years ago, even if they appeared to have reached an understanding in the art school. Dr. John Finn Finnegan and Bridget Forrester stood, not in the comforting aftermath of a medical triumph, but in the bewildering shadow of a narrative that refused to add up. Their shared concern, a palpable force crackling between them, crystallized the moment the name Grace Buckingham entered the equation concerning Liam Spencer's care. The very notion that the hospital administrator had unilaterally discharged Liam, a man recovering from a gunshot wound sustained during a terrifying confrontation, directly to the imposing, fortress-like residence of Bill Spencer, bypassing standard post-operative protocols and, crucially, Finn's own expertise as both a physician and Liam's stepbrother, struck them not merely as irregular, but as a deliberate, unsettling sleight of hand. Finn's professional composure, usually an unshakable bedrock, was visibly fractured by waves of incredulous anger and profound professional insult. How could Grace, operating far outside her administrative purview, justify such a reckless move? Why was he, Liam's family and a respected neurosurgeon, kept entirely in the dark about the critical decision to discharge a patient who, by all prior accounts, harbored a life-threatening brain tumor? The subsequent revelation, delivered with jarring clinical detachment, that Liam had undergone an impossibly successful surgery removing said tumor during this opaque period, did nothing to quell their alarm. Instead, it detonated it, transforming bewilderment into cold, hard dread. Finn's trained mind recoiled at the sheer implausibility. Brain tumors, especially those requiring intervention Liam was supposedly facing, don't vanish overnight through routine procedures yielding clean scans. Such outcomes were the stuff of medical journals, not sudden, uncommunicated miracles orchestrated by administrators. Seeing those pristine scans himself, presented as fait accompli rather than a collaborative triumph, wasn't a relief. It was the smoking gun confirming his deepest fear. This wasn't medicine, it was theater, a meticulously staged illusion where the miraculous recovery felt less like divine intervention and more like a calculated cover-up. The too good to be true axiom screaming its warning into the sterile hospital silence. Across from him, Bridget, her maternal instincts honed by years of Forrester family intrigue and genuine affection for Liam, mirrored his suspicion, her brow furrowed not just with worry for Liam's actual well-being amidst this bizarre charade, but with the chilling recognition that powerful forces were manipulating the chessboard. Their urgent, hushed conversation in that impersonal hallway became a pact forged in shared unease. The anomalies were glaring, the inexplicable discharge, the phantom surgery, Grace's unprecedented overreach, Bill Spencer's sudden, possessive guardianship, and the uncanny, almost convenient timing of Liam's transformation from critical patient to walking medical marvel. They dissected each fragment, Liam's vulnerability, Bill's notorious capacity for manipulation, Grace's motives shrouded in bureaucratic opacity, and arrived at the only logical, terrifying conclusion: Liam's life, his very reality, was potentially being stage-managed, his recovery narrative hijacked for purposes unknown, and nothing, from the gunshot wound's origin to the tumor's sudden disappearance, could be taken at face value. Their resolve hardened into steely determination, professional duty, familial loyalty, and an innate thirst for truth demanded they pierce this carefully constructed veil of medical mystery and Spencer influence, to follow the threads wherever they led, be it through hospital records, whispered confidences, or confronting the imposing gates of Bill's mansion itself. Liam deserved genuine care, not a scripted convalescence, and they, Finn with his scalpel-sharp intellect and Bridget with her unwavering tenacity, were now committed to unearthing the dangerous truths buried beneath the facade of a miraculous recovery, starting now, because every moment Liam remained in that gilded cage under Bill's watchful eye and Grace's dubious authority was a moment his true condition, and the real perpetrators behind this orchestrated chaos, remained dangerously obscured. Meanwhile, within the opulent, tension-lined walls of Bill Spencer's mansion, the supposed beneficiary of this medical enigma, Liam Spencer, lay recuperating, the physical evidence of his ordeal stark against the luxurious surroundings, with Steffi Forrester Finnegan a constant, vigilant presence by his side, her relief at his survival warring with a disquiet that mirrored Finn and Bridget's suspicions a world away. She watched him breathe, watched the color slowly return to his face, and while a profound gratitude flooded her for his mere presence, alive and seemingly healing, the narrative surrounding his recovery felt discordant, like a beautiful melody played slightly out of tune. The doctors spoke of a bona fide medical miracle, the removal of a deadly tumor under circumstances never fully explained, a narrative Steffi desperately wanted to embrace, to surrender to the overwhelming joy of having him back from the brink. Yet the very suddenness, the lack of transparency, the involvement of Bill and the shadowy Grace Buckingham, planted seeds of profound doubt that stubbornly refused to be uprooted by wishful thinking. Was this truly a divine second chance, or was Liam, even now, ensnared in a web of deception far more complex and sinister than the physical threat he'd overcome? Her silent contemplation, however, was abruptly shattered by an arrival that sent a jolt of shock through the room. Sheila Carter, the woman whose very name was synonymous with terror in Steffi's life, the architect of so much pain, stood hesitantly in the doorway, not with menace, but with a contrition that seemed almost alien on her features. Sheila had come, she explained with unsettling calm, to visit Liam, to personally thank him for his heroism during the confrontation that had claimed Luna Nozawa's life. Yes, Sheila acknowledged Luna's death bluntly, the consequence of Liam's desperate shot, yet she claimed to understand the impossible choice he faced in that split second of chaos, an understanding Steffi found chillingly pragmatic rather than empathetic. What stunned Steffi more than Sheila's presence or her twisted gratitude was her own reaction, faced with the woman who had shot her in cold blood just 3 years prior, who had threatened everything she held dear. Steffi found herself responding not with the expected fury or immediate ejection, but with a strained, almost surreal civility, a nod of acknowledgement that felt less like forgiveness and more like emotional exhaustion in the face of Liam's fragile state. This unexpected, glacial tolerance did not go unnoticed by Sheila. Her sharp eyes registered Steffi's lack of immediate hostility, a reaction so wildly divergent from years of vitriol and rejection that it sparked a dangerous flicker of hope within her. First, there had been Lee Finnegan's astonishing, almost motherly embrace and words of forgiveness at the art school, a moment Sheila still replayed with bewildered awe, and now, this? Her daughter-in-law, the woman whose hatred had been her most implacable barrier, not screaming for security but merely tolerating her presence? The implications were intoxicating. Could this fragile truce, born in the shadow of Liam's injury, possibly extend beyond the sick room? Could Steffi, of all people, be thawing? The desperate yearning for connection, for legitimacy, surged within Sheila. Was this the impossible turning point? Could Steffi, witnessing Sheila's gratitude and her interaction with Liam, finally relent? Could the gates to Finn, to her grandson Hayes, truly be creaking open after a lifetime of being slammed shut? This fragile hope, however, was perilously balanced on a knife's edge within Steffi's own heart. The memory of the art school understanding, the shared trauma of the moment, had created a temporary, fragile bridge, a cessation of hostilities for Liam's sake, but the indelible scar of Sheila's bullet, the searing physical and emotional agony she had inflicted, the years of terror she had orchestrated, these were not erased by a single act of gratitude or a moment of shared crisis. The warmth Steffi managed to summon was surface deep, a protective layer over a core of ice forged by betrayal and violence. She could be civil now, for Liam, perhaps even acknowledge a twisted logic in Liam's actions that Sheila exploited for her narrative, but true acceptance? Allowing Sheila unfettered access to Finn, to Hayes? Trusting her near her family? That demanded a level of forgiveness Steffi wasn't sure she possessed, a rewriting of history she wasn't prepared to author, leaving the question hanging heavy and unresolved in the opulent room. Was this fragile, unexpected détente the first fragile step towards an impossible reconciliation, or merely the eye of a storm yet to unleash its fury, a temporary ceasefire destined to shatter once Liam was out of danger and the harsh light of reality, and the mounting suspicions of Finn and Bridget? Pierced the uneasy calm?